This conversation is with Steve Sanneman, a firefighter in Kansas City. Welcome to the Burnout Podcast. I am your host, Skip O. This podcast is brought to you by Throttle and Thrive and mypodcast.media. Let me talk to you a little bit more about Throttle and Thrive. It's a treatment facility in California. It's a 6-bed unit for men only, first responders. They have a workout facility. They have a 12-step program that they take people to. And they also specialize in their diets. If they have a special diet they need to cater to, they can do that also. They practice with EMDR and talk therapy. It's a very family-like atmosphere. Their focus is to rescue the rescuers. You can go to their website, throttleandthrive.com. You can also call them at 805-701-1309. That's 805-701-1309. And you can also look at the show notes for more information. Steve Sanneman is a 30-year firefighter paramedic. He's a husband and a father, also a believer. He wants to help people with PTSD and a sex addiction. Could you give a little background about your job, your family, and then we'll go into some questions. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I am a 30-year firefighter paramedic. Started my career in St. Louis, currently living in the Kansas City side. Been with the department that I'm on for 20 years now, 20 years next month, to be exact. Been married for 5 years now. In July, will be 5. To a wonderful woman who has supported me through all of my trials and tribulations this last 5 years. And likewise, I'm helping her through her path and her journey.
Well, I tell you what, the last 5 years you've been married, and you want to share a little bit what's going on with you to got you where you're at today.
I was totally in a wrong headspace for definitely the first 20, 25 years of my career. Work-wise, work was always good. I was always, on time, always doing my job, always doing what I needed to do. But outside of work was a different story. It was a different Steve. I thought, this is the way every firefighter, every paramedic was. We date around, we mess around, we do all this other stuff, and then that's just the way it was, and that's how we were. And I just thought that was just the way the way we did things. Total wrong thinking. Met the woman that's now my wife. She had enough of that, and basically told me one day to get help or get out of her life. And I knew she was the one for me. I knew that there was nobody else. She was the one. And I decided to get the help that I needed, and ended up going to COE and spent 6 weeks there. Not only did COE save my life, it saved my marriage too. So for the past 5 years, I've been working on me being the best version of me that I can, so I can give her everything that she deserves.
Well, let's back up a little bit. When you said you thought we did what firefighters did off the job or whatever, I know what my attitude was when I was there: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Whatever's going to get me that quick gratification, I would do it. Yep. Whether it was on the job, getting that adrenaline rush from doing the job, working a code, working a fire. Is that something what you're talking about when you said you thought everybody did, all firefighters did that?
Yeah. It was, it wasn't so much the drugs for me. The alcohol started to become an issue, but I was able to control that. But it was definitely the sex. The sex was, that instant gratification that, it's like you said, you get that high from it, and you get it at work because, you did work that code, or you did, fight that fire. And, you gotta find it in your off time, and to find it in your off time, you're right. You either turn to the sex, the drugs, or rock and roll. And for me, once I kind of kicked alcohol to the curb and was able to learn how to control it, the sex just took over. And that instant gratification was always, always, always there. I always needed it.
Steve, I don't know about you. I remember when I, had issues with it and still can. It's always embarrassing to talk about, because we're guys, man. That's we look at, you look at porn, you look at women, you talk about women, whatever. That's what we do. At least we that may have a problem, that's what we do. But
Right.
what can you relate when you knew there was an issue? Is that when you got called out or got caught by your wife now or something? How'd that work out?
So I honestly, my wife pointed out that I had an issue, and I said, "Well, I can handle it. I can handle it on my own. I handled the alcohol by myself. I can do this by myself. I can handle it by myself." And this went on for probably 6 months, and then that's when she told me, either get help or get out. And it was at that point I realized I can't do this by myself, and that's when I started making the phone calls. I made a phone and found COE. And ended
Okay.
up going there.
Well, a lot of people, COE is a Center of Excellence. It's in Maryland. It's a treatment center for firefighters for the AFFF. Or AF. I can never get that right. But it's a treatment center in Maryland. They do mental health or addiction. And how long was you there, Steve?
I was there about 6 weeks.
So tell me about a day there. When you worked on your situation, what was a day for you like there?
It was difficult. I faced a lot of hard truths. I'd sit down with my counselor, and she actually, drew up on the board, the cycle of addiction that I had. And when you see it and you see your life in that frame, you realize just what a mess you've made of things. And not only what a mess you made of things, but what a mess you are. And I'm not saying that, everybody that goes there, that everybody's a mess, but you see your own mess that you've made. And
Sure.
you think you've handled it, you think you've cleaned it up, but then when it's pointed out to you and actually shown to you, it's just it just makes you sit back and go, wow, how can I, a semi rational, normal human being think this way and be this way? And I think once I was shown that a lot of my healing has begun or did
Sure.
begin at that point. And and as we all know that once you're released from COE, that's not where the healing doesn't stop. The work doesn't stop there. I hold a black belt in Taekwondo, and when I got my black belt, that was just the way I felt was just the beginning of my education in that. So going to COE was just kind of like getting to the black belt, and that's just the beginning.
Well, since I know you hold a black belt, I'll be a little bit more nicer because I didn't know that.
That's all right, Skip.
I won't make fun of you or make fun of you anymore. So
It's been 20 years since I've practiced, so it's all good.
I tell you, that takes a lot of discipline to go through the belt ranks. I did a few, and then I quit because I wasn't disciplined to go the ranks. Just like it takes a lot of discipline when you're going to that any addiction to work on that. Is that true?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's when you're in the center, you're in what we've all referred to as the bubble.
Sure.
It's kind of like our nirvana, if you will. And then when you get out, now you've got to deal with all the things that used to trigger you before. For me, my biggest trigger is boredom. If I get bored, it's like, okay, well, now let's, let the, as the old Yellow Pages ad, let the fingers do the walking. And, I the boredom is really what gets me. So now I have to be vigilant about that. I have to watch out for, when the boredom does set in. And the downside to my triggers is the boredom happens at midnight. 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning. And, there's not a whole lot of people that I really want to bother with, or not bother with, but bother them at that time in the morning.
Oh yeah, I agree. What about the other side of the spectrum? Boredom and working way too much to try to help the situation out. Have you ever tried to do that?
Yeah. Working too much. That for sure. Because then now not only you're not fighting the boredom, you're fighting being tired. And, my wife says, the two things that are top of my list of that is boredom and being tired. And when I get tired, then my guard gets, let down, and the intrusive thoughts come in. And then the next thing, it's, down that path again.
Yeah, my little quick check inventory, and I got this from a 12-step program, is hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. If I'm any of those, I got to watch out.
Yep. I've heard that before.
Yeah. So getting out of the center, you went through the process, you went through the groups, you went through individual counseling. Did you do any EMDR or anything like that?
I did do EMDR, and the lady that did it, Remy, she was awesome. I called her the voodoo priestess because that EMDR is just amazing. It helped in so many ways. It helped put me in a different mind frame when I am in that, when the boredom hits.
Sure.
So it was just incredible.
Could you tell EMDR? Could you tell people what that is, or it's eye movement something? And I get it confused all the time.
Yeah, I can never even remember the EMDR half the time. It's eye movement,
desensitization,
desensitization,
something. Hey, you guys can Google it. What it is, it takes away the trauma, desensitizes you from that trauma or that issue you might be having. Is what when I did it, that's what it was for me.
Yeah, that's what it did for me. It helped with that. So she told me that there's the trauma therapy and then the addiction therapy, and we went down the addiction one with me. And she said, put yourself in a place where you would have these urges, and I did, and I could see myself in that place. And then when it was all said and done, she said, go back to that place. And I wasn't in that place anymore. I was looking down at the room where I normally would be, and I wasn't in that room anymore. So to me, that told me that, going to that place is not an option anymore.
Sure. Well, getting out of the center of excellence and your first week or 2 weeks at home, how was that?
Stressful. Very stressful. I had a lot to prove to my wife, Lisa. I had to start regaining the trust with her. And everybody knows, trust takes a lifetime to build and a second to destroy. And when I got back, the first thing that helped my cause was she could actually see a physical difference in me, that something had happened to me while I was there, and I was physically a different person. So she decided to do what's called a trust jar, and she would put these glass beads in this trust jar. And if anybody's ever done a trust jar before, it's like trying to lose weight and stepping on the scale every day. You can't look at it every day because it doesn't move. So once I got it through my thick head not to look at it every day, it was, it took probably a good 6-8 months before it filled up, but it's been full ever since.
That does it for the first half of our show today. Let's take just a moment and check in with Melissa for our mental health tip for this week.
Well, hey, this is Sean. I'm sitting in for Melissa today, and today I want to talk to you about boundaries. Now, boundaries can be a pretty big topic, so we're going to stay just kind of at the surface level with this, but hear me out on this. It is human nature for us to want to help people. It is even more of your own human nature geared and being wired as a first responder to feel like you need to help people. And when someone comes to you with a request to help do something or be a part of something or go somewhere, and you're just not feeling it, it can be very easy to lean into this feeling that I have to do it. I have to say yes, because if I don't, I'm not being a good friend, a good family member, a good spouse, a good whatever. But the reality is, and you've heard this before, we have to help ourselves first so that we can help others. And so your ability to put healthy boundaries around yourself to protect your time and your need for healing and rest and relaxation and, importantly, rejuvenation is very important. So practice those safe, healthy boundaries and try to get used to saying, no, thanks, I wish I could, but I'm not able to right now. I'd love to do it maybe next time, or this just isn't a good time for me. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. Now let's get back to Skip and his interview with Steve.
Well, Steve, I know, just like training at the fire department, police, or military, when you're doing a mission, you do a lot of training and practice before you finally go into the training. Well, now you got out of the center, you're back into where it's not training anymore. They give you the tools to use. What's some other tools that did you use when you got out? I know a couple of them, but what's some other tools that you used, like if you're at work or if you're home, to help with that boredom or overworking?
Probably the one that I use the most is box breathing, and that's breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. And I do that one probably the most. The next after that would be grounding and just making sure my feet are on the ground and I can feel the ground underneath me and I know everything is good. After that is movement, and I get up and I'll move. And a lot of times the boredom will start hitting and those intrusive thoughts will start hitting while I'm just sitting watching TV or something at the station. And I just get up and I move. I just start walking around, and usually just doing that little bit of movement really helps. If it gets too bad, if it's something, then I'll go work out or I'll go hit the elliptical. I'll do something else, and basically just get on and just keep moving and just kind of move away from everything.
There's also too, there's some support meetings that you help out with and that you're involved in there. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I will. I belong to Worldwide Peer Support. I'm also a board member now. I'm the secretary. We meet on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, my time. And it's been a wonderful experience. I can't say enough about how much they've helped me. Even if it's just I sit and I listen to somebody else, it's knowing that there's a group of people out there that have gone through the same things that I have, that understand what I'm going through, that understand, the pain that I'm feeling. And the biggest thing is they don't judge. There's no judgment there. I've never judged anybody there. I know nobody's ever judged me, and we can speak freely and we can talk, and I can get out what needs to be said. And, once I get that out, and then, sometimes there's advice given, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it's just, okay. And that's fine. But I know that there's a safe place for me to go 3 hours a week with people that understand.
Now that's worldwidepeersupport.org. They can go down there on Sunday, Tuesdays, or Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and click on the Zoom part and get on those support meetings anytime.
That's correct.
And that's for first responders?
First responders, yes.
Cool. That's awesome, man. I tell you, I know when you started facilitating, I know you do a good job along with Marissa, Tammy, and everybody else, Harry, that jumps on there and done it. You guys do a good job, and your heart is in it, and I really appreciate what you guys do. And it takes, to stay disciplined to do something that get on every week. It sometimes it'd be like Groundhog Day. How do you switch it up a little bit on your Zoom meetings, and what kind of things do you do different?
Well, in the beginning, when I first started going on, it was hit and miss. I'd get on one day and then I wouldn't be on for 3 or 4 weeks. But then once I started coming regularly, it was very cathartic and very helpful. And I realized I started putting the effort into it. When I started hosting, to try to keep it, kind of different. Don't want to get into a rut. I've gone out onto the interwebs and try to find some different topics and different things to go on. Sometimes it's just things in my life that I think would make a good topic, and we'll just talk about it. And the other day I did one on intrusive thoughts because some of the things that Lisa was going through with her thoughts.
Sure.
And I said, what do you do when you get these intrusive thoughts? So,
well, you don't do what we used to do.
No, I know what I'm not going to do.
Well, Trey, you said, well, I get on the internet. I go, okay, we could use the internet in a different way.
Yeah. Not the way I used to use it, but I get on there to find ideas.
Sorry, Steve, you got a smart ass retired firefighter here. Well,
no, that's all right.
I wouldn't even call me smart. I'd go the other way. So I think it's real, when you can come out with a sensitive topic like you, talking about sex addiction, a lot of people shy away from it. They're embarrassed or they're uncomfortable with it, even if they don't have. And I think when you walk through that door and you talk about it, you help open the door for a lot of people. Have you experienced that whether it's around your job or wherever you kind of openly talk about in a genuine way and people reach back out to you later?
Yeah, I've had one person reach out to me that was on the peer support website. And I tried to help him as much as I could. I don't think this person was ready to get the help. I think he was still, the old you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yeah.
I think he wanted the help. I just don't think he was ready to receive the help. Sure. I wish him the best, obviously. And I'm always here. He's got, they have my number. I can, anytime anybody wants to call me, if they've got, and that's what I really want to do. And that's, when I talked to you on the phone that day, it was, how do I get this message out? It is a sensitive topic. It is difficult to talk about. And I know I am not the only one in the fire service that has this issue, or the police department, or anywhere.
Ability. Oh, absolutely. I tell you, I really appreciate you have the courage to come on here and talk about something, and your wife staying there and supporting you, just like my wife stayed there and supported me. Cause it's, I remember when I told my wife I had a problem, I was thinking about, killing myself and I was doing porn. She goes, "You're doing porn?" I go, "She didn't think about killing myself." And I talked to the counselor about that later. I said, and the counselor's a woman. She goes, "Well, I understand what she says. That don't mean she didn't care. She just was blocking that off and could see that like a distrust thing in there." And a lot of people don't see that, but, life's good today. Yeah. I got to, same as you, I got to watch my struggles, and I can even call you and confide to you stuff because you'll understand. Yeah. I don't have to tell you what I go through, my feelings. You already got the feelings and you get it.
Yeah, I understand. And like I said, I want to get out there. I want to go to different places and put that out there. That I'm not the only one. I know I felt like I was the only one for the longest time, but, I haven't gone through COE. It's, I understand I am not the only one that has this issue. I'm not the only one that's going through these struggles.
Sure. You're not. There's a lot of people out there. And Steve, what would somebody, whether military, police, fire, or a family member knows a person, they're listening to this right now and they're embarrassed. They're either drinking too much to cover it up, using drugs, they're acting out in anger. You got 30 seconds to talk to them. What are you going to tell them? You got 30 seconds. Go.
You are not the only one, my friend. There's a lot of us out there. I would be more than happy to share my story and how I overcame it and how I got through everything. And, just just know that there's a way out, and the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train coming at you. It truly is, the help and support and love that you need.
Well, Steve, tell them what the support meetings, what time they are and what days they are again, so they can come on air and meet you.
Absolutely. This Worldwide Peer Support meets on Zoom on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And we usually have a topic. We also have a reminder group that they send out text to remind everybody that there's a meeting going on and what the topic's going to be.
Those are good meetings. We at Burnout, we got one on Sundays. We made it at 6:00 because we didn't want to overlap with you guys, so that people could have more than one thing. That's 6 p.m. Eastern. You go to burnoutpodcast.org and jump on that one every week, or you can go to worldwidepeersupport.org 3 times a week, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and jump on those. Well, Steve, there's always something I ask, and I think I asked you before. There's a slogan, or is there a verse or something that when you get in that dark place or you need a little boost, what resonates in your mind? Is there something that comes up in your mind that keeps you going?
Probably the biggest thing that goes into my mind is I think about everything that I would lose if I went back down that road. And the big one is my wife, and the biggest support that she has given me, and just everything that I have because of her. I would lose everything.
I tell you, that's why I think, you gotta, what I was told a long time ago, you got to play that tape all the way through. Usually I can play the tape where it's
right.
Get that gratification, I'm good, but keep playing. Where's it take you?
Right.
And that's where's it take us? So, well, Steve, man, I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your experience, strength, and hope with everybody. And I appreciate everybody tuning in today. And Steve, sometime would you come on the Burnout support meeting and tell your story? We'll get a little group of people and you can tell your story.
Absolutely. Be more than happy to.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
We'll make sure you're good and your wife's okay with it, because I don't want to overwhelm your time being on the computer all the time.
No. She understands. She gets it. She, like I said, she's very supportive of this. And I told her, this is what I want to do. I want to get the word out and let everybody know that, the help is out there.
Thank you, man. Well, if you want to get a hold of Steve, go to burnoutpodcast.org, send us an email, and we'll hook you up with the Sanneman. For now, when you go home tonight, shut your phone off, shut your scanner off, and get some sleep. Thank you.